All over America, ordinary people are being tormented by terrifying animals, creatures, and monsters who attack us at night in the sanctity of our own homes.
These experiences are ancient and universal.
The effect of such attacks can be devastating.
I'm going crazy without sleep. It's just bad. It's just bad.
This mother of two is being threatened at night by a mysterious beast.
Well, it was right beside the bed, and it lunged at me, and I said, "Is that there? What was?" And I was just freaking out and crying. And what was that?
A demonologist is called in to help this young woman who believes evil forces are at work.
It just held its arm out while it was smiling at me and ripped up its arm. And it was just like gushing blood all down the fingers. It was like a complete attack on me.
This man finds himself dragged to the most horrifying place imaginable.
Where did I go? I went to hell.
Are these terrifying creatures real? Or are they monsters in our head? Kimberley Jones enjoys a carefree life working as a makeup artist and model.
I started out as a beer girl. I ended up on the bikini team. I did catalog shoots. I liked the photography. That's what really got me interested in the modeling part of it. I just like to make cool-looking pictures.
A typical American mom, Kimberley lives with her husband and two children in a suburban house in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. But a series of disturbing events have turned her life upside down. July 2005. On a summer's evening, as she sleeps in her home, Kimberley has an unexpected visitor.
I was laying in bed, and I woke up. It was like I came out of one of those deep sleeps. And I thought there was something in the room. It's a fear in my chest. Like if someone broke into your home. I looked over at my closet, and I realized that there really was something there. And then it opened up its eyes. And lunged at me. And I said, "Is that there? What was?" And I was just freaking out and crying. And what was that?
Kimberley's husband unsuccessfully tries to reassure her that she has simply had a nightmare and everything will be better in the morning. Every human being has experienced at least one nightmare, a dream so frightening it wakes us up. However, only 1% of us suffer from reoccurring nightmares. Humans have been dreaming of terrifying demons throughout recorded history. 3000 BC, the Mesopotamian goddess Lillian was described as an evil night demon who terrorizes people in their sleep. Daylight doesn't bring Kimberley any relief. She knows the being she saw was real.
I was awake. I was awake for this. It was, for me, it was in the room and it was happening.
She tries to lose herself in everyday activities, but her ease is short-lived. The next night, she once again experiences something horribly wrong going on in her room.
I just thought that I woke up in the middle of the night. I I looked over and I realized that my husband was sitting on the ground. I thought, what is he doing? Why is he sitting on the ground? I said, Danny, what are you doing? And he didn't answer me, and then I realized it wasn't Danny.
The creature now wants to play mind games.
And I got very scared. I knew immediately that this was not Danny and this was that thing. I waited for me to see it, and then it pretty much smirked at me. And then it lunged at me. It was getting closer. It was getting closer to me every time. I became afraid to be in my home alone. Spent during the days, telling it to get out of my house. Because I really felt like there was something in my home. It's very frightening.
Once again, Kimberly's husband tries to persuade her that she's just having a bad dream.
My husband doesn't believe in things like this. He thinks it's just a nightmare, that's it. Most of my friends thought I was, being a little bit creative. I could tell some of them just thought flat out I was full of it. Thought I was crazy or something. I spoke with a psychiatrist. I was told that I was just depressed, just having nightmares. Anyone that I've ever talked to has always said it's just nightmares. Not a big deal.
The refusal by medical professionals to take night vision seriously can have devastating consequences.
When we move into a feeling of there is no help and I'm being seen as odd, then we lose all hope and all reason for living. And that becomes a very desperate place for people.
Unfortunately, Kimberly knows just how desperate the situation can become.
But I did have one friend that me and him had talked about it, and he had the same thing. His description was that it was black and it had almost kind of a red eye to it, and it would try to lunge at him, and it tormented his life. He committed suicide.
The same charred, red-eyed creature visited Kimberly on countless occasions. Then, one night, it preys on her worst nightmare. When the creature visits this time, it doesn't come alone.
I thought, why did you bring me this?
Mother of two Kimberly Jones is being terrorized at night by a mysterious creature.
The way that it tried to come after me that time and every other time was it was there intentionally to do harm to me.
The creature has started to play evil mind games with Kimberly, as if it was preying on her worst fears.
I opened up my eyes and I looked and I thought, what is that? And it was carrying something. I thought, what is that thing? What do you have? put this thing down on the bed. And I thought, what is that? And I leaned down and I looked, and then I realized that it was my oldest son, and that he was dead. And I just started crying, and the thing left the room. And I thought, why did you bring me this? And I jumped out of bed and I ran to my son's room, and he was fine. It made me very paranoid. Whatever it was going to be out to do something to my child. It makes me feel alone and damned.
With the thought that her children could be in danger, Kimberly is still at a loss as to what the creature is and what it wants.
I wish I did have somebody to tell me what it was. I wish I did have someone that had, a flat-out explanation what this thing was.
For thousands of years, experts have tried to explain what these monsters are. Neuroscientist Alan Cheney believes that Kimberly is suffering from a rare disorder called sleep paralysis, a condition where the sufferer is both awake and dreaming at the same time, making nightmares far more real and intense. When we're dreaming, the cerebral cortex, the area of our brain responsible for logic, shuts down, while the limbic area, responsible for emotions such as fear and anxiety, is working at full speed.
Basically, what has happened is that you've got these fear centers very active, and they are now generating the imagery. So that it is not the case that you're frightened because you're having these scary images, but rather you're having scary images because you're fearful. In fact, there is nothing out there. You're awake and you're dreaming.
Psychologist Justina Lasley believes these monsters are messengers from our mind, trying to force us to deal with an unresolved personal crisis.
The psyche wants us to know and understand and gain meaning for our lives. So it's going to present us with these terrifying nightmares to wake us up, literally, out of our sleep in our waking life.
I don't think that there's any depth to that kind of answer. There's too many things that happen. It's too real.
Demonologist Tracy Bacon agrees with Kimberly. He believes the monsters are real and servants of the devil.
They've been here since the beginning of time, and they are still here seeking the ruin of man, just like the Bible says. They wish to destroy anything that is in the image of God. They are seeking on people who have that lapse of will, free will.
To try and get rid of the demon that terrorizes her, Kimberly has done everything, from putting up crucifixes in every room in her house to visiting different psychiatrists and doctors. Despite this, she is still regularly visited by the demon. However, she is no longer as terrified as she was.
I've learned to live with it. I've learned to not let it debilitate me as a person. I guess that is some kind of closure in a way. Moving on.
While Kimberly has learned to live with the demon that's tormenting her, this young woman decides to fight back with shocking consequences.
I think it was angry. I think it knew that I was getting help. It just went on a rampage.
Alexi Durgans is a single mother of two from Fort Wayne, Indiana, with a straightforward mission in life.
I'm in college right now. I'm studying to be a medical assistant, so I'm getting that going. Most of my life is just about my kids. I do the best I can, be the best mom I can be. Right now, I just want them to be happy. I want to give them everything that they need to grow and become the best people that they can be when they grow up.
But Alexi's goal in life changes dramatically in March 2010, following a bizarre and terrifying encounter.
I was getting ready for bed, put on my pajamas, brushed my teeth, went and got into bed.
Shortly after closing her eyes, Alexi becomes aware of someone else in the room with her.
I saw this girl. She was slowly lifting her head up. Her skin had like this bluish grayish tint to it, and she had on a really old-time nightgown. She just raised her arms and she just screamed.
Alexi Durgan has been terrorized by a malevolent creature in the middle of the night. The obvious explanation is Alexi's experiencing nightmares. Coming under attack from a monstrous being is a common nightmare. Humans have similar dreams to one another. Other common nightmares include being assaulted by a shadow, coming under attack from insects and bugs, and even dreaming that you're dying. For Alexi, her experience is both unique and terrifyingly real.
She was slowly lifting her head up, and she just screamed. She seemed extremely angry. Part of me feels like there's some sort of issue that she has with me, or she's taking out this anger on me.
The unwanted visitor has an immediate and dramatic effect on Alexi's life.
I haven't slept in my bedroom since. I sleep in my living room on my couch at night. I keep the TV on and the dining room light on and my hall light on.
Not sleeping in her bed doesn't help. Alexi is visited again on numerous occasions. Alexi is still at a loss as to who her visitor is.
It wasn't a dream. I know it wasn't a dream, and I know it's hard to explain to people. My first guess was something kind of maybe like a ghost or something. The more I thought about it, the more that things started happening. It became maybe it's not a ghost, maybe it's something a lot worse.
Many scientists would say that Alexi is suffering from chronic nightmares. Her anxiety over raising her children could be the cause. The vast majority of people who suffer from reoccurring nightmares are anxious in their waking hours.
I'm fearful of a lot of things. I'm pretty much afraid of everything. Afraid of things that I shouldn't be afraid of, and I think that's part of the reason why I really don't like leaving my house.
Then, the demon confronted Alexi face to face.
I had picked up my friend Kira so that she could stay the night, and we were just hanging out, watching TV, talking, girls' night.
While talking to her friend, Alexi noticed something unusual about her reflection in a cabinet window.
She kept looking in the sliding glass door, and every single time she'd look at it, she'd look a little more scared.
I looked at my reflection, and it smiled at me. but it was more of like a teasing type of smirk, like ha-ha.
She looked terrified. Like, I've never seen her that scared, ever. She was like freaking out.
It just held its arm out while it was smiling at me and ripped up its arm. It was just like gushing blood all down the fingers and dripping. It was like a complete attack on me, and that was terrifying. I do believe that this woman is in fact demonic. This is real. There's really something bad going on.
Convinced that an unholy entity is out to get her, Alexi calls in an experienced demonologist.
The ultimate goal of the demonic is the destruction of a human being. They've been here since the beginning of time, and they are still here seeking the ruin of man. There are stages: infestation, oppression, possession, and death.
Twenty-two-year-old Alexi Durgans is desperate to protect her two children from an unknown entity that is terrorizing her.
I do believe that this woman is in fact demonic. This is real. There's really something bad going on.
She turns for help to demonologist Tracy Bacon. In May 2010, Bacon and his investigation team set up in Alexi's home.
The main goal in our work is to find out as quickly as possible what we're dealing with, because if it is something demonic, we want to put a stop to it before it carries on too far.
The team try to provoke a reaction from the entity.
You're a little girl, play a game with us. Tap on the wall and I'll tap back. What's your name?
They kept asking questions like, are you happy that Lexi's home? Do you get upset when she leaves? Do you want to hurt Lexi?
Late in the evening, the team finally get a reaction from the entity. Their camera is not rolling, but a tape recorder captures the horrifying moment.
Ouch! Do you have a flashlight?
Yes, I do. Nikki's got scratches, guys.
It hurts, it burns.
Look at that.
The entity makes physical contact with two members of the investigation team.
I need to go. I can get outside.
Okay. I've got to get a picture of this.
Two of them were scratched. They got scratched. One of them was scratched on their neck. The other one was scratched on their back.
For Bacon and his team, there is no doubt that an evil being is targeting Alexi and doesn't want to be disturbed.
A question was asked, and the response was somebody getting slashed. It's a red flag to me. Well, somebody gets scratched, it's just like a rattlesnake giving you that warning sign. Don't come any closer. You're going a little bit too far.
I was scared. I was very scared. I think it was angry. I think it knew that I was getting help. It was angry. It wanted to scare me. It wanted to keep me from taking steps towards removing it from my life, and it just went on a rampage.
Tracy Bacon's next objective is to see if something in Alexi's past is attracting a demon.
Gut instinct here is I think that maybe there's something being withheld, which may be a key factor in bringing resolution for her.
I had to sit down with him and start from the very beginning, basically from my childhood on up, everything that has happened to me.
When she told me, I was just kind of like hit with a brick. I was like, oh my God, on top of everything else, now this.
Gruesome double murder as local law enforcement officials searching for a suspect.
Alexi reveals that as a child, she was caught up in a horrific double murder. Alexi Durgan is being terrorized by a demon who is taunting her both in her sleeping and waking hours. Now, Alexi has called in the demon hunters, who have been slashed and scarred by the outraged entity. Demonologist Tracy Bacon urges Alexi to explore her past to find out why she has been targeted.
I had to sit down with him and start from the very beginning.
As a child, Alexi had a close relationship with her grandparents. They had a strong religious influence on her, taking her to church 4 or 5 times a week. But what Bacon hears next is more shocking than he could possibly have imagined.
Gruesome double murder as local law enforcement officials searching for a suspect.
Right after I had turned 9, my grandparents were murdered in their house. Some sort of gang initiation or something. They were beat up really bad and then laid down on the floor, and they were shot execution style.
From what she told me, I was just kind of like hit with a brick. I was like, oh my God, on top of everything else, now this.
I didn't find out until I was about 15 exactly what had happened. I was very sad, and then it got to the point where I was angry. I was very upset. I had gone to church with them 4 or 5 times a week. From everything that I had learned, it made no sense as to why God would let something like this happen. I completely denounced my faith.
And with her background as such, she's probably pretty open and susceptible to something from the outside coming in. All she can do now is bring religion back into her life, get herself baptized. That's the first step in her perhaps finding resolve.
Some psychologists believe that many victims of chronic nightmares turn to religion because they don't want to confront deeper psychological issues.
They are helpless. They are grasping for help. And so they move to more alternative ways of wanting somebody else to solve it, not looking inward, going outward. Who can help me? When the truth is the only person that can help them is themselves.
66% of people believe in demonic possession, but few scientists are among them.
I think most of my colleagues would consider paranormal kinds of explanations either so unlikely they're probably not worth even trying to refute. That would be, I think, the consensus.
They believe that religious explanations obscure rather than reveal the truth.
If you're in a vulnerable situation and you've had experiences that you can't explain, and somebody offers you an explanation for those experiences, you're very motivated to accept that explanation.
All right. So we're going to baptize her today in the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Alexi was baptized in August 2010 in an attempt to resurrect her faith and to ward off the demon she believes is targeting her.
Right now, I do believe that God will help me through this. I will find a way to deal with it, and I'll be okay in the end.
The baptism was successful. The demonic creature has never returned. While Alexi came under demonic attack in her own home, Darryl Dino, struggling at death's door, was transported to hell itself, where he was attacked by a pack of demons. In 1997, Darryl is a student with a part-time job at a nursing home. He found he's a natural at care work.
I would bring my video camera in a lot, and the residents, like being taped, they lit up when the camera was on them.
After passing his exams, Darryl hooks up with some friends to celebrate. A night that will change his life forever.
That night, a couple friends wanted to take me out. My friend Brett, another guy, they wanted to celebrate with me. I'm not that big of a drinker, but I earned this. Who cares? There's little details of what I remember that night because I started getting drunk. But afterwards, I was just in space.
At the end of the evening, the trio make the fateful decision to drive.
I didn't live that far away, but my friend Brett, he convinced me because he said, what happens if you fall over? We were going like 80 on a 20-mile street. I remember being concerned. I remember Brett telling me that I was being a front seat driver and that I needed to shut up. And then all of a sudden, I remember seeing lights. I just remember flying out like a bird and hitting my head on the cement and going in and out of consciousness. I know people arrived at the scene, paramedics. I knew they said Brett was dead. I knew that. I figured that out. I didn't know that the other driver was dead yet.
2 people from the accident are already dead. The medical staff turn their attention to Darryl, who is in critical condition.
I remember hearing, we're losing him. You gotta hold on. Hold on. The whole thing was just shocking. I knew something had gone terribly wrong. I was on some sort of table, and body just mangled. I remember hearing them say, he's dead. I was looking at myself, and 2 male doctors, 1 female doctor, trying to revive me. I didn't care. I knew I was on some type of journey. All of a sudden, I was free. It's this feeling that you're 10 times more alive outside of your body than you are inside your body. A tunnel sort of encapsulated me. I could hear rushing wind sound, and I knew I was going faster than the speed of light. There was nothing really scary about it until all of a sudden things started to slow down and noises started to fade in. could hear kind of grunting sounds, like pigs. As soon as I came to the end of this tunnel, I could hear blood-curdling screams. I see these beasts. I can't even describe how ugly these things are. Loaded possum face, human body is the best way that I can describe it. Why was I there? Why was I put in front of this horror show? And then suddenly I could see Brett. He was screaming and the beasts were laughing. They grabbed him. They clamped him on the cross. He was being crucified. This place it was hell. They finally noticed me. It just happened out of nowhere. An instant. It just moved towards me. I was gonna join Brett being crucified.
Following a horrific road accident, Darryl Dino believes he's been sent to hell and that a satanic creature is about to crucify him.
I was gonna join Brett being crucified.
But an event in Darryl's past is about to alter the course of his descent into hell. While working at a nursing home, Darryl struck up a relationship with someone considered a problem patient.
And there was one particular resident, Emily Rose. I was warned about her that she could get quite physical. I was warned to be careful of her. There I was able to break through with Emily Rose where a lot of the other people that worked there weren't able to break through. I felt very rewarded being her friend and talking to her. It was a great, great experience. When Emily Rose died, I decided to plan a funeral myself. I felt that that was something I had to do for her.
With doctors trying to bring him back and Darryl believing the demonic creatures are closing in, his act of kindness towards his former patient is about to pay off.
It just moved towards me, but in that same instant time, somebody stopped him. I knew instantly who it was. It was Emily Rose from the nursing home. But it was a much younger, beautiful version of her. She told me they can't hurt you. She told me how much what I did and the love that I showed meant to her. And the tunnel came back. I could just feel nothing but love. I went back into my body.
Darryl's heart stops beating for more than 40 seconds before doctors manage to revive him. Darryl, like 40% of all people who have experienced a traumatic physical crisis, leaving them on the boundary between life and death, seems to be having a near-death experience. These experiences have common characteristics, including the sense of being dead, meeting other beings, gods, or animals, and out-of-body travel. Dr. Kevin Nelson is an expert on near-death experiences. He believes that Darryl's hellish encounter happened entirely within his mind.
Darryl knew what the devil and hell were before he had his near-death experience. And within the narrative capacity of his brain, these figures came out at a time of crisis. Why did Darryl see Emily Rose? She must have had a powerful psychological value for him. He may not even be aware of what that psychological force was for him.
When our brain believes it is under mortal threat, it releases a massive amount of neurotransmitters called endorphins as a defense against the fear and pain of death. Many scientists believe these endorphins trigger the type of hallucinations that Darryl experienced. Darryl is convinced that his journey to hell is not just his imagination running wild. He believes he actually traveled there.
I know that there's doubters out there, and there's scientists who have different theories, and I understand them, but they're wrong. The experience was 100% real. There's a world out there that we will face when our time is up here.
Darryl is one of the few survivors of encounters with a demon. He believes the experience made him a better person.
Before, I was somebody who really didn't care about the consequences of his actions. Now, I'm more of a loving person.
We may never know if the creatures experienced by Kimberley, Alexi, and Darryl are real or simply coming from the mysterious reaches of their brains. But whatever the answer, they have been terrifying mankind for thousands of years and are still lurking, lying in wait for their next horrifying encounter.